All right, go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I do extend a warm welcome to each one of you to this free webinar titled Smart Business, Leveraging AI for Competitive Edge. This webinar is co-hosted by IGI Global Scientific Publishing and Research Information and is sponsored by the Open Science Education Institute, also known as OSEI. My name is Savannah Pecknold. I am the Communications Coordinator of Open Science Publishing at IGI Global Scientific Publishing, and I am honored to serve as one of the moderators for this live event. For those of you who are unfamiliar with IGI Global Scientific Publishing, we are a global academic publisher of books and journals within the areas of business and management, science, technology, and medicine, and education and social sciences. With offices in Hershey, New York, London, and Beijing, our mission is to publish tomorrow's research today, ensuring timely and innovative work that reaches the global stage. With contributions from over 250,000 scholars worldwide and a continually growing catalog of 10,000 titles, IGI Global Scientific Publishing's comprehensive ebook collection offers one of the most robust repositories of research available. Publishing more than 1,000 new books annually, IGI Global Scientific Publishing has spent over 40 years championing innovation and accelerating the global exchange of knowledge, which makes today's webinar very timely and relevant to today's research landscape. All right, with that said, I'll turn it over to Tim Gillet, our other moderator today.
Yep, hello, I'll be brief. I'm Tim Gillet. I'm the editor of Research Information, which is an independent news platform that covers the global research and scholarly publishing world. For nearly 20 years, we've reported on how research is funded, published, shared, and assessed, and on the technologies and policies shaping these processes. Our audience includes librarians, publishers, research managers, funders, and service providers. And we publish news, analysis, interviews, webinars, and podcasts that explain complex developments in clear, practical terms. The aim being to help people working in research and publishing understand what's changing, why it matters, and how it might affect their work. Back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Happy to have you on here. So next, I'd like to share a little information about this webinar sponsor, which is OSEI. This is an official community platform for open science, and is for researchers, librarians, and publishers to engage in collaborative discourse on the principles, benefits, and challenges within open science. You can check it out at OSEIinstitute.org, or just scan the QR code here for to read posts from our expert and guest contributors. If you would like to address current issues within open access through your own blog, please feel free to contact me at contact@oseinstitute.org. All right. All right, before we begin, I would like to note that our four presenters today have prepared their own presentations and various case studies for this webinar, and we'll each have 10 minutes to present. Afterwards, we will conclude with an audience Q&A session. So as you listen, please feel free to drop them in the chat, drop them in the Q&A, a feature that we have built into the webinar. And please feel free to make specific questions to the panelists as well. So if you have a specific question for Lewis, Victoria, Jonathan, or Darrell, please feel free to explicate that. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to, actually, I'll do that. I'll share a little bit of information about Darrell Gunter. He is a seasoned digital executive and consultant, as well as the founder of Gunter Media Group, with over 40 years of leadership experience across major organizations like Xerox, Dow Jones, and Elsevier. Beyond his corporate work, he teaches at Seton Hall University and works with Rutgers' Are You Flourishing program, helping returning citizens develop entrepreneurial and professional skills. Darrell is also a recognized thought leader in emerging technologies, especially AI and blockchain, and he regularly speaks and writes on how organizations can use these tools responsibly and strategically. For those who may not actually know, Darrell was actually a panelist on our previous webinar last year on the dangers of AI, so it's an honor to have him back with us today. So with that said, I will now hand it to Darrell. So what I'll do, go ahead, you can go ahead and take the screen.
Bear with me for 1 second. Here we go. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for that wonderful introduction, Savannah. And to let you know that I'm also the Chief Commercial Officer for Gadget Software. I've been working with Gadget Software for the last couple of years. And since I only have 10 minutes, I'm going to cover a lot of information. However, if you keep your phones ready, you can grab this QR code. It's going to be throughout the presentation. The QR code is going to give you access to a host of information. We like to say a resource hub. It's an infographic. It's going to have my presentation and also a video explainer. So you'll have a wealth of information about what we're going to talk today. But allow me to put this presentation in context. Over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to witness and participate in and launch some of the most important strategic shifts in the information industry. I started in a world of mainframes and dial-up. I worked in a pre-HTML world. I worked in the pre-PDF world. I worked in the pre-mobile world, and later in the rise of semantic search. Each of these moments wasn't just a technology upgrade. Each one required a substantial structural change in systems, workflows, business models, and expectations. Today, we're standing at the edge of the next seismic shift, and a change is going to come. And by the end of the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you a clear answer to one question. How do I not just survive, but thrive in the answers economy? So we're in the migration from the access economy to the answers economy. In the past, of course, the PDF is with us, will be with us for a very long time, but the PDF was based upon keywords. It was for humans to read, for people to read. However, in the future is the answers economy. And so what does AI need for the answers economy? Providing mere access is obsolete when machines become the primary readers. The value shifts from the container to the data inside. So we're moving from the access economy to the answers economy. So when we feed PDFs into a machine, a lot is lost in translation. The context is lost. So you can say that PDFs equal loss in translation, and because the context is abandoned. Without structured data, AI is a mirror, not a crystal ball, because this is what loss in translation looks like. We expect AI to make sense of it, but it crashes. It creates a heap of stuff, but it can't easily make sense of it. So here is the problem in the access economy. The big AI company, they love your stuff because it's high quality, high value words. They attack your stuff to train their predictive models. They're taking your stuff out of the access economy, but they're using it for the answer economy, and they're not paying you for it while they charge the global public for their service. Changing the game from the PDF and the access economy to the compute-ready document for the answers economy. The keys to thriving in the answers economy is the CRD, the compute-ready document. It's dynamic, it's semantically enriched, it's machine consumable, and it is deterministic. So let's talk about the anatomy of a knowledge object. In the answer economy, the anatomy of a knowledge object is its semantic twin of the PDF. It has all of the information from the PDF and much more. It has the provenance because it can justify the answer. It has the context. It binds the asset to its meaning. It has the asset, which is the atomic unit of information. So as we see here, Today, we're feeding an asset designed for the access economy, the PDF, to a machine built for the answers economy, which it breaks it into pieces, and the AI is trying to do the best it can to deliver an answer. But because it's so fragmented and broken, it gives you these hallucinations. Looking below here, let's look at the future state, the ingestion time of processing. Below, we're feeding the asset to a machine built for the answers economy. It takes these items, it creates these entities, these topics, Q&A pairs, summaries, and they're split by topic with the agentic ingestion, and it's stored as structured metadata, which means now that you're able to get the right answers to your questions. So we're moving this intelligence upstream. Documents are split by the topical layer boundaries and not arbitrary word counts. So you might guess that I'm describing, it's not a dream. It exists now. And it was validated by Signal 65 in December, over 30 days, in partnership with Dell, Broadcom, and Gadget Software, where they retrieve regulatory information from the Federal Register, and they process these policy documents in the XML, which is what the publishers have, and they created these CRDs using open source LLMs. And what they found is that a few things happened. They did it on premises, which means on-prem. So there was no public cloud involved. So you had data privacy, which gives you GDPR and HIPAA compliant. They provided you with the performance. It eliminates the cloud tax, and it's sustainability. You enrich it once, but you can read many times. What we've learned is that after the content, the unstructured data has been refactored, it's set. There's no more usage by AI in regards to going out to a data center or using your power. And keep in mind that, again, this was validated by Signal 65 with Dell and Broadcom and Gadget Software. So let's talk about the art of the possible. No, I'm sorry. Let's talk about the art of the actual. Now, what I'm showing you is something that my colleague, Max Grigsby Jr., created using Microsoft BI and Notebook LM. And keep in mind, this is just an example. You are able to take the metadata that's created out of the compute-ready documents and create your own interface. But imagine a researcher having this workspace where they can do their discovery, their search, and the visualization right within the framework of your publisher's framework, right? And then you look at this, what you're able to do, you're able to select key topics, whether it's people, geography, situations. And then if you look at the lower left-hand box, where you can select different entity topics and then ask it to give you a summary of it. And it's all done by AI because it's using the compute-ready document. Secondly, if you look at the box to the right, this is where, with this particular book, what we did, we show you all of the sections. It's a VPUB, the sections, the chapters, the topics, and the summaries. And most importantly, the context. So the researcher is getting so much information versus looking at a static vertical search that only has Boolean search. Then on the right, there's a chatbot. So you can actually ask questions of the book and get answers. So you have those very two nice functions. So imagine that you're providing this researcher with this workspace that you can charge them for, and they'll gladly pay because it's going to help them to be more effective and more efficient. Now, what we also have done in this next example is that we can blend in many different books into this interface, as well as journals or other uh, literature as well. You see that we're not abandoning the PDF. You see, we have the book right there, which you can go through page by page if you like. And then we provide you with the infographic. The infographic that we chose, it has the chapters, the topics, and the people. And what you're able to do, you can drill down to the particular items that you need. Again, there's a chat bot on the right where you can ask a question of that. So here you see that this is providing the researcher with more insight, more information, more visualization versus seeing a static vertical search result. And so there's a new revenue model, knowledge as a service. This new product will allow you to have new products, new tools that move into the ongoing answers economy with new subscriptions. And the cool thing about this is that you could put in any type of content. So for open access publishers who rely on selling print books or chapters of their book, here's a service that the researchers will be willing to pay for because it's going to make them more efficient and more effective. Now, this is a very important point because defense, governance, and perimeter control is so important. And this is, CRD is not a front-facing document. It is in your data architecture. What can you do with your technical engineering teams to develop new products and services to enable you to build interfaces that are far more difficult for someone to scrape your content? If they want access to your CRDs, then they will have to pay you for your API access to the content. Keep in mind that it's going to provide you with differentiation, distinguish between human readers and AI agents. It provides you with audibility. It's immutable IDs and mandatory citations for every asset, and context stewardship. High value structured data it's only accessible via your secure paid API channels. So what are the strategic advantage of the compute ready document? The PDF is with us and will be with us for a long time, but it's for people to read. The CRD, it's for machines to read. It gives you the semantic twin, the agentic ingestion, the verified prominence, and it's monetized via your API, and it has deterministic speed. Very exciting. So my challenge to the industry is to become the curators of context. We have a choice. Either watch our value be scraped away or build the necessary infrastructure to power the next generation of science. Adopt compute-ready documents to protect your content, validate the scientific record, and secure the industry's financial future. The future is now, and it is the CRD. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Darrell, for talking about the CRD and how to thrive in an answers economy. All right. Let's see, I'll take this back. All right, so then I'd like to then go to introduce our next presenter, which is going to be Dr. Victoria Adams. All right, so Dr. Adams brings more than 30 years of experience in the technology and consulting world and is currently the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at SIMBA Chain, which is the leading blockchain provider for the U.S. federal government. She has held key roles at PwC, IBM, and Booz Allen, and has helped major tech startups, including Consensus AG, where she launched and led their public sector groups. Dr. Adams has consulted for nearly every major U.S. federal agency, multiple global governments, and Fortune 500 companies, and is internationally recognized as a thought leader in blockchain and digital ledger technologies. She's a frequent global speaker, published author, and media voice on blockchain. All that said, I please welcome Dr. Victoria Adams.
Good morning. I don't have PowerPoint slides. I'm just going to talk. And I should say that I was visiting my daughter in Cincinnati and I'm snowed in. So if you see cats wander across the screen, these are my daughter's delightful cats. So I'm going to talk today about how AI is getting used in small and medium-sized businesses. And what I'll be doing is talking about how you can pick one or two high return workflows, implement them very quickly and measure ROI. Quick note, it's business guidance, not legal or financial advice, so bear that in mind. So let's start with the most important point. AI is not a strategy. AI is an accelerator for work that already exists. When a small or medium-sized business struggles with AI, it's usually because they try to adopt AI rather than adopting a specific workflow, a repeatable process with clear inputs, outputs, ownership, and a metric. So today, let's focus where AI can really reliably help. And I think there are three areas that we see AI being most useful for small and medium-sized businesses. Drafting and editing text, summarizing and organizing information, and generating structured options like checklists, templates, and first drafts. And we're going to avoid where AI causes real risk, which is fully automated decisions that require accuracy, compliance, or judgment without a human step in the row. So if you want fast ROI, you need to target workflows that have three characteristics. First, they happen every week. High frequency processes and workflows. Second, they're repetitive. Similar inputs and outputs. Third, they're text heavy. Emails, proposals, responses, policies, training, and summary. That's why you tend to get the fastest wins in four key areas: marketing and sales execution, customer support, operations and finance reporting, and hiring and training. Now, I'll give you a practical example for each, focusing on what to do and not what to buy. There are so many different tools out there, and often the solution for small and medium-sized businesses and for larger businesses is just to buy something. So let's talk about marketing that ships weekly and stays on brand. Workflow number one is marketing. Here's an operational model. You define your ideal customer, your offer and your proof, your key differentiators, testimonials, and key points. You tell AI your constraints, tone, brand voice, compliance boundaries, and critically, what never to say. AI generates multiple drafts. We all do this. But a human needs to pick the best and edits for accuracy, brand, and publishing. The human must always be in the loop. The output isn't more content. The output is a repeatable weekly cadence. Something like one email to prospects or customers, a few social posts, one landing page refresh or an FAQ update, a short script for sales to follow up on. And the metric is not how much content we made. This is the road to AI slop. The metric is replies, meetings books, conversation rate, or a sales cycle time. If you can't tie a number to it, it's just an activity. It's just something you do. Let's look at customer support. The fastest way to get value without risking customer trust is to start AI as a drafting assistant, not an autonomous agent. Here's what to do. Build a simple internal knowledge base of your top support issues, 50 questions, policies, product services, details, anything. And use AI to draft replies that your team approves before sending. And add smart routing, tag the issue type, urgency, sentiment, whatever it needs for escalation. And again, measure it. Measure your response time, your resolution time, your escalation times, refunds or rework, and customer satisfaction. The win is consistent, fast responses without hiring a full extra team. Workflow number 2 is operations and finance clarity, where AI turns messy inputs into decisions. Common use cases could be weekly performance summaries, what changed and why, variance explanations, labor, sales, churn, project overruns, invoice or expense categorization, meeting notes, standard operating procedures. This category works because you're not asking AI to be your CFO. You're asking it to reduce the inevitable friction of business, summarize, structure, and flag exceptions. And one important guardrail, don't post sensitive data into tools that aren't approved for it. Keep the source of true data in your accounting and operational systems and use AI to produce drafts and narratives from sanitized inputs. The final workflow I'll talk about is hiring and training. It's one of the most overlooked ROI areas for a small and medium-sized business because onboarding is expensive and inconsistent. AI can help you standardize role definitions and success metrics, interview questions and scorecards, onboarding checklists, training modules and quick quizzes, and manager coaching prompts. The result is faster ramp time, less dependence on your one person that knows everything, right? We've all got that person, and more consistent performance across your team. Now let's make this operation. To leverage AI without chaos, small and medium-sized business need 4 components. One primary AI workplace. One place people are expected to use so usage is consistent and governable. Automation connectors, simple triggers between systems, be it your CRM, email, help desk, accounting schedule. You don't need a custom build to start. And a source of truths, a place where businesses store validated policies. And finally, lightweight governance, a one-page policy and review checklist, not a bureaucracy, just guardrails that protect your data. And going to that, here are 4 guardrails that we found really work. Guardrail 1, data rules. Define what's allowed, restricted, and prohibited. Prohibited words include, prohibited normally includes passwords, people put them up there, full financial account details, regulated personal data, and anything that's contractually confidential. Guardrail 2, human approval. AI drafts, humans approved, especially for customer-facing, legal, HR, or financial outputs. Guardrail 3, accuracy checks. Require AI to show its sources where applicable. Allow humans to verify numbers, policies, and claims. You need that person in the loop. Guardrail 4, brand and in-truth marketing. AI will flatter you. Do not exaggerate what AI is doing for customers. Credibility is a business asset, so protect it. So what are you going to do? Well, here's a simple rollout plan. 1 to 30 days, pilot it. Pick 2 workflows, baseline performance, create prompt templates, train a small champion group, and track metrics weekly. 30 to 60 days, standardize. Turn that work into SOPs, checklists, and approved prompts, add routing integrations, and formalize a one-page policy. And then after that, scale. Roll to a broader team, expand your knowledge base, automate recurring steps, review and refine monthly. So finally, just on ROI. Keep ROI measurements simple. For instance, pick 3 metrics: time saved, hours reduced on repetitive tasks, revenue lift, higher conversion rates, faster follow-up, more pipeline velocity, quality improvement, fewer errors, faster resolution, fewer escalations. For example, if you say 5 hours a week across 4 people, that's 20 hours a week. Load in whatever your cost is, and you've got an idea of what you're saving. That's it before you can even count revenue left. The point isn't perfect accounting. The point is to know whether your pilot is winning. So, to close, don't adopt AI. If you're beginning, adopt one workflow with a metric, a checklist, and a pilot plan. That's how you can turn AI into an operating advantage. Thank you very much, and I hope you found that useful.
Victoria, thank you ever so much. That's it. I really enjoyed the grins on everyone's faces when you mentioned how AI flatters you. Everyone, yeah, we know that one. And thanks also to Darrell for his talk earlier. So we're now going to move on to Dr. Lewis Johnson, who is co-founder and CEO of Alelo Incorporated. I hope I pronounced that right, and a long-standing leader in the field of AI. For more than 30 years, his work has focused on agentic AI and intelligent systems that support learning, communication, and human collaboration. Dr. Johnson leads the development of avatar-based learning systems that have trained hundreds of thousands of US and allied military personnel in language and cultural skills. And he continues to work closely with organizations to design AI systems that are practical, scalable, and capable of delivering lasting impact. Dr. Johnson, over to you.
Great. So let's go on to the next slide. So I'm going to be talking about how to turn AI into successful business solutions. Next slide, please. So the theme of this webinar is how to leverage AI for competitive advantage. The sad reality, though, is that many AI projects fail to achieve any measurable impact. There was a recent MIT Media Lab study about this. So why is this? What is it that is preventing most AI projects from providing a competitive edge for their organization? And I think a key reason for this is what's sometimes referred to as the AI experimentation trap. It is very easy to create an experimental proof of concept with ChatGPT or other LLM tool. The problem is from transitioning from that initial proof of concept to a sustainable, scalable solution. And when organizations fail to plan for that, that's why they don't get the results that they're looking for. So this is something that I've seen in my experience working with organizations to deploy sustainable AI solutions. It's also some observations I had recently as chair of the evaluation committee of the Gen AI competition, where I saw lots of interesting submissions that had failed to plan for impact. And I think there's some lessons to be learned from that. Next slide, please. So following on what Victoria said, I think it's important in planning any AI solution, first of all, to consider why is the solution needed? What is the clear need that we're trying to address here? What are the benefits that will be gained from meeting that need? And what metrics will show that that solution meets the need? Some projects fail because they don't really give enough attention to those metrics. The ones that I see that succeed are actually using AI to generate the metrics that are going to be used to demonstrate success. For example, if we have an avatar-based learning system that's, say, training customer service personnel. Then we have another AI module which is analyzing the transcripts of those training conversations to see whether or not the training objectives, in fact, were met. So if you know what metrics you're looking for, you can build that, you can use AI to help build that in those metrics that will help show the ROI that you're looking for. Next slide, please. So use LLMs as a prototyping tool to help you understand what the solution is that you're looking for, how it will work in prototypical use cases, and then go and design and implement the real solution. Don't think that you are done because you've got this ChatGPT prototype. It's important to understand the distinction between the prototype that works on prototypical cases and the real solution that is going to be able to work in all cases and that is ready for deployment. Next slide, please. And in that transition, one of the factors you have to consider is the result going to be trusted? What are the risks due to inaccuracy, hallucination, safety and security violations, failure to comply with regulatory standards? It really irks me how so many AI providers kind of give short shrift to these issues and say, well, AI makes mistakes. That's just par for the course. What you have to do as a solution developer is understand what the risks are and then show how your solution or model avoids or mitigates those risks. A key part of that, as Victoria said, is building in guardrails. With the right guardrails, you can deploy effective AI systems even in risky applications. To give you an example, we developed a chatbot information source for a drug company. And we made sure that the bot, when people asked questions, that the answers were always grounded in content that had received regulatory approval, that it did not veer off into providing medical advice. Unfortunately, there are many AI-based solutions out there that are free to offer medical advice, and who knows where that advice is coming from. This is something you have to plan for, and if you do, you define the role for your AI, then it can perform that role effectively and support your organizational goals. Next slide, please. Show that the solution can be scaled. Can the solution handle large quantities of data as opposed to the small amount of data that you might provide to a chatbot? This often involves creating a database of data that you're going to rely on. Say, use retrieval augmented generation to make sure that you are relying on that data. And then you can do scaling tests to make sure that your algorithms will continue to work well as the data scales. Will the bot run for extended periods of time? This is another area where you can get a false sense of security. You can have a quick little conversation with a bot. Let's say that the bot is playing the role of a customer in a customer service scenario. You might have a realistic conversation, but in real life, customer service conversations can go on for a long time. I know I was just stuck in airports for days having long conversations with customer service personnel. What some of these AI systems do is as the conversation goes on, the entire record of the conversation is used as the prompt for the next cycle in the conversation. So as it goes on, it gets slower and slower and slower. So again, this is a scaling issue that people can easily overlook. Next slide, please. Show that the solution can be maintained. Any impactful AI solution needs to have a well-defined process for periodically testing and updating the model or solution. And that includes migrating to new solutions. AI is constantly changing, and it requires a change of mindset here. It's easy for developers to say, okay, I've developed my system, I'm now deploying it, now it will run for years. No, it will not run for years. The underlying AI will change, and what's working now will be obsolete for a year from now. Again, we can make provisions for this, but if you fail to anticipate this, then you are going to run into problems down the road. And of course, this process needs to be able to operate at the scale of a real organization. So again, these are not barriers to success. These are just facts that, factors that you need to take into account as you are designing a successful, impactful solution. So I'll stop there.
Lewis, thanks very much indeed. Very informative and entertaining. Excellent. Just before we come to the last speaker, I just want to say if you've got any questions for any of the panelists, you need to get them in within the next 10 minutes. We've got a few lined up, but please do send them through now if you have any. So on to Jonathan Langley, who is the Vice President of Solutions at Clinician Nexus, and is also the chair of Inland Empire Health Education Consortium. He's a healthcare education and workforce strategy leader with more than 15 years of experience spanning academic, medicine, health systems, and education technology. Over to you, Jonathan. The floor is yours.
Thanks. It's great to join the webinar today and share just a few thoughts. I've gained so much from each of you speaking before me. I appreciate what you've presented. There are a few things, three main things that I wanted to share today. The first one about academic research and its relationship with innovation in the world of AI, and how those two things can be effectively married. And so two particular examples that I wanted to share. The first one being from Rutgers, work trends. I worked previously in academic administration for some time, not conducting research myself, but managing departments at universities. And at some point in each school and department, we would run into problems, like all of us do. And these are problems faced by the student body, by faculty, by space constraints, curriculum problems, trying to align with accreditation metrics. And so one healthy practice that we incorporated was when we would come across those problems and then meeting as leadership to say, where can we look up research on this problem and see who else is facing this? So starting with the problem, looking up academic research on the problem. This Rutgers example was one of the earliest examples of this for me. And this particular report drew attention to the fact college graduates were more and more feeling unprepared when they entered the workforce. And this is back in 2011. This is early days for this conversation. Specifically, students were graduating and feeling a need for more hands-on learning to go with the book learning. And that trend showed up across all majors. And so you can still access this work trends report online, Rutgers University. There was a 2011 report and then a follow-up 2012 report called Chasing the American Dream. This demonstrated a problem not just at the university where I was working, but more holistically, there was a problem that was occurring systematically in higher education, specifically addressing hands-on experiential learning to pair with the academic learning. This was the instigator for me personally of a long effort in academic work to say, how do we make this more effective at preparing students? And this was also the birth in idea for Clinician Nexus in so many ways, where I currently work, of getting more access for Clinician Nexus to help hospitals identify and manage the clinical environment to accommodate the right amount of learners at the right time from the right school for a long-term pipeline of learners. So that's the first one. The second one is an illustration of academic research sparking innovation. And that is Peter Bierhaus, a nurse economist. He's published numerous things on the future of nursing. If you just looked up Peter Bierhaus, Future of Nursing, in the mid-teens, 2014, 2015, Dr. Bierhaus raised the alarm there would be a significant shortage of nurses, only compounding. And then as COVID hit, he identified even greater needs through research. And again, it was based on this type of research that Clinician Nexus is trying to address these issues and say, how do we help with the nursing shortage to create space for the clinical environment to train and to address the long-term workforce pipeline? Now, both of these examples, you'll note, have nothing to do with AI integration yet. But the point is, identifying the problem is the first step. And this is the human component that I think is so important to first identify. And I know, Dr. Adams, you pointed this out as well. It's not the solution itself, but first the human has to identify the problem. Then going on to the second step, if you can advance slide, the question of how do we incorporate research into strategy as a firm. And I'm going to provide three kind of realms of integrating research and then applying that kind of AI perspective. The first one would be environmental. I think a fantastic example, Clinician Nexus is part of the SCH Holdings, a larger organization. Sullivan Cotter and Clinician Nexus and several other operating organizations. Our CEO sends out through our weekly newsletter as an organization several articles that are of interest. And whether that be research that has been published nationally or through articles that are addressing specific hot topics. And he hand selects a few of those articles to say, these are important for all of us to be thinking about and paying attention to point to the problems. The second one would be individual research. And that's each of us building those personal habits. Personal habits, I think, are king on this front as far as incorporating research into our daily lives. This is where I think IGI Publishing and other organizations have a really strong footing for offering subscriptions, offering all of these publications for individuals to consume, and then to be able to prod their thinking about problems. And personal habits, I don't think, can be replaced. One of my favorite personal habits at this stage is I will read an article or a publication or a study on a particular topic. I'll set my phone down at my desk, and then I'll go for a nice long walk through a park that's right next to the office here to just let my mind work on that problem and ask the question, what is at the root of this problem, so that I can focus my attention then on the solution after that. The third thing, as far as incorporating research strategy, would be an internal forum. I think a great example of this for our organization is that we have monthly and quarterly town halls where the colleagues within the firm who have done a publication of their own or a research study of their own or are working on a significant consulting project are able to share some of the details of that internally through town hall and open up space for discussion and questions and just prodding thinking. So those would be three, I think, categories of thought to make sure that we have arranged in our work, the environmental, the individual research, and then the internal forums. On the individual research, one other thing that I wanted to make sure to mention, Harvard recently published information on how boredom contributes to meaning and happiness for humans. And I think it's a really important note. If you want to look it up, it's Dr. Arthur Brooks, Harvard professor, and talks about how boredom contributes to meaning and happiness for humans. And so I note that there doing the thinking work without a phone, I think is so important. Google's AI efforts long-term are around Google DeepMind. And I think it's important with that same thinking that each of us makes time for that DeepMind thinking as a human to then inform the AI efforts. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so a practical example of how this maybe has taken place in one case study with Clinician Nexus. Riverside University Health System is a regional health system in Southern California. Clinician Nexus went on site and met in person, working with individual members of the Riverside University Health System team, our developers, and staff working individually and directly with those end users to identify the problem. Then we took that information and said, what about nationally? Is there nationally a similar problem that is being faced across other health organizations? And we worked with national health systems to validate this was a local need. Now, what are some of the things across a national spectrum? What do clients need nationally? What do their clients need? What are the bottlenecks in the overarching system? And then setting up those individual focus groups to validate, okay, this was the problem we identified. This is maybe where we've incorporated AI to toss around some ideas for solutions. And now let's validate that with an end user. And then the third thing, so we took that model and template from Riverside University Health System, validated that at a national scale with other clients. And then we have ongoing data collection. And I think this is an important component for informing our use of AI, is having a repository that is established, that all client feedback goes to this repository, then having a committee and a group of people that is established to say this is the group that will review and analyze and think deeply about that client feedback and consider the long-term implications, and then validate that again with the end users. So one sample case study of actually validating that. As a summary statement, I think the important thing that we are trying to incorporate is identify the problem first, use the AI as a tool to kick around the solutions and make the solution effective and efficient, and then validate that with the end user. I appreciate the time to be able to share some of those thoughts, and appreciate AGI for hosting the webinar today.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Another great presentation, as they all were. So we've got a bit of time. I think we've got time for one question each for each panelist. So I actually want to work backwards. Jonathan, how do you balance the feedback received from clients, users, and work groups with evidence-based research to make sure Clinician Nexus stays aligned with what people need and what the research shows best?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think it's an ongoing conversation for us. At times there will be feedback contributed by end users and clients where we see maybe a collection of people requesting specific things in software to address a problem. And sometimes it's bang on exactly what is needed to be developed. But at other times, there's actually a problem that is below that we need to address more systematically. And so I think two practical things that we've tried to do. One is making sure that we just have a thorough, thoughtful discussion around it that includes developers and super users from our customer support team who know the ins and outs of daily practice. And then the second would be sometimes just identifying the risk and saying, here's a solution. What is the risky solution if we wanted to go out on the fringes and develop something that maybe is innovative and take a risk, and maybe it lands and maybe it doesn't, and just choosing when we're ready to take that risk.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Coming to you now, Lewis. What guides your approach in developing sustainable AI solutions for organizations, and what challenges do you foresee? And indeed, how can these challenges be addressed?
Well, I pointed to a number of the challenges in in my slides. But I think the big challenge is planning for change. Change not just in the AI technology, but also change in the requirements for the solution. And so what what we've done is to really encourage clients to go to a service model or saying, well, okay, we're going to develop a solution for you, and then we're going to provide ongoing support that will handle whatever changes come forward. So if the technology changes, we will handle that. If your customer needs change that within limits, we will take care of that for you automatically. Um, that avoids the mindset of thinking, okay, I've deployed this thing and now it's done. As soon as you say now it's done, you are setting yourself up for failure down the road.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Victoria, in your experience as a leader in blockchain technologies, where do you see academic research most influencing the union of AI and blockchain?
So we've been doing a lot of work at SIMBA chain with the Department of Defense. And what we're starting to see there is increasing concern for data poisoning, that is using bad actors coming in and putting erroneous data into AI, and then the AI using that as being the basis for some response. So we're seeing a lot of work in this area, especially using blockchain as a security device for AI, being able to see where who touched the data, when they touched the data, what happened to that data. We're seeing quite a bit of that too when it comes to additive manufacturing, and being able to trace the provenance of the data. For national security decisions or decisions in a conflict zone, we're very alive to the threat of data poisoning there, or erroneous data being put into the different decision streams. So we're seeing a lot of work on how you can validate data going into AI and how blockchain can be that. We're currently working at SIMBA chain with the University of Chicago. If the government can get its act together and start to get its funding coming through on this issue. And also, we've seen quite a bit of work too on post-quantum. And how that's going to affect blockchain and the security that we're seeing around AI.
That's great. Thanks very much. So the last word is going to go to Darrell. Darrell, what dangers or threats, if any, should be taken into consideration as AI becomes more integrated into businesses? And I'm sorry to say you've got about a minute to answer this one.
No worries. Data governance is just so important, and also the making sure that your data is clean and trusted. And that's why I love working with Gadget Software, is because what they're doing is creating this refactored metadata, if you will, that's tried and true. And then when you put it on premise, that ensures that you're going to have the sovereignty that you need. And that's important. It's just like you don't want to use any bad vegetables when you're making your dinner. AI, you got to have clean data. I just cannot stress that enough. Real quick, I hope I'm within my minute. Right now, the academic scholarly publishing industry has been under attack with paper mills. Now, with folks using AI and unfortunately unstructured information that comes through LLMs that's not refactored, that just creates more nonsense within that. So that's very important. Start with clean data.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Right, that's all the questions over. Thanks again to all the panelists. I'm now going to hand back to our hostess, Savannah.
All right. Actually, Just really quick, there actually was somebody who did ask a question in the Q&A. I just wanted to make sure it was asked. It was for Victoria. I know we don't have too much time for it, but just wanted to throw it out there. Someone from named Princess Mwanda, founder and CEO of FIDRAAX LLC. They were wondering, says, why do you consider that why do you consider that AI autonomous agents aren't good in your case?
They're just not there yet. They are not there for business purposes when it's coming through. They're getting there, but they're just not there. Right now, I'd steer clear of them.
May I respond to that?
Yeah.
I actually think they are there if there is, you can define a clear and circumscribed role for the agent. Where you have problems is where the role is undefined and the AI can veer off into areas where it really is not qualified. That I see is a big challenge.
Yeah, excellent. Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything for conclude the Q&A session? That'd be good. All right. So that concludes the Q&A session then. Thank you everyone for taking a part of this session. Just lastly, before we wrap up, I just wanted to take a moment to spotlight our ebook collection. This collection does bring together more than 10,000 ebooks and over 200,000 individual chapters spanning business, management, STM, and education and social sciences. Just for basic information, it is available with annual licensing, unlimited access, no DRM, and something we are excited about, very relevant to today's conversation. It will be enhanced soon with an AI-powered search engine right on our website. So what really makes this collection stand out is it does seemingly support its research and innovation. So as we continue to leave today from the webinar, I hope all of you leave with important information, some valuable insights from our panelists today. So thank you. And that's that. So if anybody else want to contact me or Tim, feel free. I'm pretty open, so it's not a closed door. So thank you.
Thanks to you and IGI for organizing
Thank you.
this.
Just wanted to say
thank
that was
you.
an
Thank you very
absolute
much.
pleasure. Thanks to all of you.